The invitation that never committee night was cold, but inside the old hotel ballroom, lights sparkled like stars. People gathered in elegant clothes, laughing softly, sipping drinks, and posing for pictures under golden chandeliers. It was the charity gala of the year, hosted in honor of a foundation that helped children who had lost their parents. Every major name in the industry was invited. Red carpets, press cameras, smiles that hid exhaustion. But the heart of the event wasn't fame. It was about kindness. Keanu Reeves arrived early, dressed in a simple black suit. He didn't like attention. He didn't like being fussed over. But this event mattered to him deeply. He had lost his own loved ones in the past, and he knew the pain of being left behind. Every year he supported this foundation, not just with money, but with time, love, and silent gestures that no one ever reported. Tonight, something felt different. As he moved through the crowd, greeting a few familiar faces, his eyes kept searching. He wasn't sure for what, or who. He just felt unsettled. Miles away, armas stood outside a large gate with a small clutch bag in her hands and a quiet hope in her eyes. Her dress was beautiful, but not new. It shimmered gently under the streetlights, borrowed from a friend who said, "Just go, Anna. Someone like you belongs in rooms like that." Anna wasn't on the official guest list. She knew it. She had checked twice, but she was told by someone from the foundation weeks ago that there might be space. And if someone canceled, she'd be notified. That call never came. Still, she showed up. She had donated part of her earnings from a small film to the cause. She believed in it. She had grown up watching her mother stretch one meal to feed 3 children. When Anna became successful, even a little, she promised to never forget. A man in a suit looked at the clipboard. "What's your name again, Anna?" "Ana de Armas." He scanned the list. Then again his eyebrows tightened. "I'm sorry, miss, your name isn't on here." She tried to smile. "Maybe check the handwritten part," someone said. "This is the complete list. If you're not on it, you can't go in." She nodded slowly, stepped back, and said softly, "I understand." But just as she turned away, a familiar voice echoed from the entrance. "Wait." Keanu stood under the golden arch of the entrance, eyes locked on her from a distance. People turned, cameras paused. He walked down the steps slowly, like he was walking through a memory. When he reached her, he spoke without any grand gestures. It's truth. "Why are you out here?" Anna looked at him. Her voice didn't rise. "I wasn't on the list." He looked at the guard. "Give me that clipboard," the man hesitated. But Keanu's tone wasn't angry. It was kind, steady. He handed the clipboard over. Keanu took the pen clipped to the top and wrote with calm. Hands, when he finished, he held it up for the guard to see. "She's on the list now." Anna blinked, unsure whether to laugh or cry. The guard stepped aside instantly as they walked in together. Arm in arm, the cameras began flashing again, but this time for a different reason. Inside the ballroom, the atmosphere changed. People noticed the quiet entry. Whispers followed. But Keanu didn't care. Neither did Anna. Later that night, when the music slowed and people danced, Anna stepped onto the terrace to breathe. The air was cool. The stars above were bright. She looked down at the city and whispered to herself, he didn't have to do that. Behind her, Keanu joined her silently. He didn't say anything at first. Then he spoke with gentle words. Sometimes, when someone believes in the cause, you don't need a printed invite. Your heart already belongs here. She turned toward him and smiled. "Thank you. Not just for tonight, but for seeing me." He smiled back. "You weren't invisible." In that moment, something shifted between them. Not love, not fame, just something real, something rare. They stood quietly under the stars, not knowing that the night had only just begun. The world was about to test their strength in ways neither of them could have imagined. The questions they never asked Kate's next morning. The headlines were everywhere. Keanu Reeves handwrites Ana de Armas into charity gala guest lists. Some called it sweet, others called it staged. But only 2 people knew the truth. And neither of them had anything to prove. Anna sat on the edge of her bed, the phone buzzing nonstop. Missed calls from agencies, studios, even people who had ignored her for months. She didn't answer any of them. Not yet. She kept thinking about the way Keanu had looked at her, not like a celebrity, not like someone doing a favor, but like someone who genuinely understood. Her heart was confused, not because of the attention, but because something inside her had felt seen, really seen. Yet that was rare in her world. Elsewhere, Keanu sat at a quiet diner, his coffee untouched. His manager had called 3 times already. "Keanu, you can't just rewrite guest lists." But it wasn't about rules. It was about people. And the look on Anna's face when they turned her away haunted him. He had been there once and wanted, dismissed. The only difference was that no one had stepped in for him. Until now, he had carried that pain quietly. But seeing Anna on the other side of that rope brought everything back. He picked up his phone and typed slowly, "Are you okay?" He hesitated before sending it. Anna saw the message appear. She waited. A full minute passed before she replied, "I am now." They didn't talk after that. Not for hours. But those few words were enough to keep the silence from feeling empty. 3 days later, they saw each other again, by accident. It was a local school, tucked in a quiet part of town where the charity held weekend workshops for kids. Keanu had been mentoring a boy there for months. He never told the press, never allowed photos. Anna was there to teach the kids a scene from a play. She didn't tell anyone she was coming. She just wanted to give something back. They saw each other in the hallway, surprised, but not awkward. "You come here too?" Anna asked, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Keanu nodded. "Yeah, every Saturday," she smiled. "Me too now." They spent the day surrounded by children's laughter, paper crowns, glitter, paint on their clothes. Anna played a queen. Keanu played the old wizard who kept losing his wand. Kids couldn't stop laughing. At the end of the day, they sat on the front steps of the school, shoes dusty with chalk. "You know," Anna said softly, "I didn't think anyone would notice if I didn't make it to that gala." Keanu looked at her. "I would have." She didn't reply. It's not right away. Instead, she looked up at the sky. "My mom used to say, the world only sees what's shiny. The things that really matter, those are quiet." Keanu nodded. "Your mom was right." Their shoulders touched gently as they sat in silence. But across the street, someone sat in a black car watching through tinted glass. A woman with sharp eyes and a phone full of photos. She zoomed in, tapped, saved the picture. The next morning, Anna's photo sitting next to Keanu on the school steps was posted on a gossip page with a cruel headline. What is she really after? Comments were worse. Another starlet looking for a shortcut. She's using him. Just wait. Did she even get invited? Or did she beg? Anna sat on her kitchen floor, the article glowing on her screen. Her hands were trembling. All her joy from the school visit vanished in an instant. The doorbell rang. She didn't move. It rang again slowly. She opened the door and saw Keanu, standing there with 2 cups of tea and a bag of pastries. He didn't say a word. He just handed her the tea and sat on the couch like it was the most normal thing in the world. After a while, she finally asked, "You saw it, didn't you?" He nodded, "And you still came." He looked at her with quiet strength. "Words don't define you. Actions do." Tears filled her eyes, but she blinked them away. "What if they don't stop?" she whispered. "What if they keep tearing me down?" He set his cup on the table, then leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Then we keep showing up. We keep being kind. We keep standing beside those who feel small. That's how we win. Not louder, just stronger." She nodded. But inside, her heart felt like it had just found shelter in the middle of a storm. Neither of them knew that the storm was only beginning, because the same person who took that photo had something else planned. And this time, it wasn't just about a headline. The story they tried to twist wind had changed. What started as a kind gesture between 2 people became a wildfire of rumors. Blogs twisted the truth. Some said Keanu and Anna were secretly dating. Others claimed Anna was chasing relevance. But the worst stories didn't come from strangers. They came from people inside the industry. Anna walked into a film meeting one morning, ready to pitch an idea she had written months ago. She had worked hard on it. Stayed up late writing scenes, rehearsing lines, dreaming big. But the producer didn't even look her in the eye. "We're going in another direction," he said flatly. "Can I ask why?" Anna asked gently, trying not to sound desperate. He paused, then shrugged. "There's too much noise around you right now." The words hit harder than a slap. Too much noise. She walked out of the building, heart heavy, legs weak. It didn't matter that she had done nothing wrong. Perception was louder than truth, and perception said she didn't belong. Meanwhile, Keanu's team was facing pressure too. "We need to release a statement," his agent said, tapping on his phone. Keanu shook his head. "No, but people are talking. They're saying she faked her way into the gala. They're saying you're being used." "Then let them talk." Keanu replied softly. "I know who she is." His agent leaned forward. "Keanu, you're not just an actor, you're a symbol. Everything you do gets watched. You can't afford to get pulled into someone else's mess." Keanu looked him in the eye. His voice calm but firm. "This isn't her mess. This is what happens when kindness threatens ego, and I won't walk away from her just to protect myself." The room went silent. Outside the walls of Hollywood, the children at the charity school were planning something special. They had seen the photos, heard the rumors. They didn't care. To them, Anna and Keanu weren't celebrities. They were the ones who made them feel seen, heard, and loved. The kids decided to throw a thank you play. One of the older girls, Lila, wrote a scene where a lonely princess was almost turned away from a grand castle in Till. A gentle wizard wrote her name in the stars. When Keanu and Anna arrived that Saturday, they found the auditorium decorated with handmade stars and tiny paper lanterns. The children beamed as they performed, voices filled with joy. When the play ended, Layla walked up to Anna with a shy smile. She handed her a drawing Anna in a glittering gown, standing proudly with her name written in the sky. "You helped me feel like I mattered," Layla whispered. Anna knelt beside her, tears in her eyes. "You matter more than you know." Behind them, Keanu watched quietly, his heart full. But not everyone felt joy that day. In a quiet corner of the school, a man stood with a hidden camera, taking photos through the side window. He was hired by someone who had once offered Anna a roll-in bin turned down. His voice was cold as he made a phone call. "I have what you need. Wait till they see this." A week later, a new article hit the web. Keanu Reeves caught in secret romance scandal. Leaked school visit raises questions about ethics and favoritism. The headline was cruel, the article worse. It twisted their kindness into manipulation. Even the children's play was mocked. Anna read it in silence. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. Just closed her laptop and walked outside, needing air. A few minutes later, her phone rang. It was her mother. "I saw the news," her mother said softly. "It's not true," Anna whispered. Double quotes. "I know," her mother replied. "But sometimes people tear down others just to feel tall. Don't let them shrink you." Anna sat on a bench, tears finally falling. She didn't know how long she sat there until a shadow blocked the sun. Keanu stood there, holding a bag of warm food. "You didn't eat today," he said. "How do you know that?" she asked, wiping her face. "Because I didn't either." They sat together on the bench, sharing noodles from a single container, not saying much, just being there. "Why is it so easy to be misunderstood?" Yana finally asked. Keanu didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because the world is loud, and truth is quiet." She looked at him. "Then how do we keep going?" He handed her a fortune cookie. One step, then another. She cracked it open. The paper read, "Your kindness will be tested, but it will not break." She looked up, smiling a little through the tears. "Did you plant this? Maybe?" But the test was not over. The foundation that ran the children's school received an anonymous email the next day. It claimed that Keanu and Anna's visits were for personal publicity and could endanger the children's privacy. The board panicked. A notice was sent, effective immediately. All outside visitors must be paused while we review recent concerns. Anna got the email first. Her hands shook as she read it. Keanu got it next. He closed his eyes, then picked up his phone. "We're not going to let this happen," he said. "What do we do?" Anna asked. He looked out the window, voice steady. "We tell the truth. Not to the media, not to the cameras. They had no idea that their next step would spark something much bigger. Something that couldn't be ignored. Something that would make the world stop and listen. They spoke without shouting. The sun rose slowly that morning. But Anna didn't feel its warmth. She stood outside the school gates, holding a paper bag filled with supplies she had brought for the children, paints, notebooks, and small snacks. But the gate was locked. Sign hung quietly, all programs temporarily suspended. No outside guests. She didn't try to knock. Keanu arrived a few minutes later. He parked his bike on the side, walked up beside her, and looked at the sign in silence. "They locked us out," Anna said, her voice small. Keanu nodded, but not the children. She turned to him, confused. "What do you mean?" "They still believe in us. That's where we start." That same afternoon, they both sat at a small park nearby, one where some of the school kids often played. They recorded a video using Keanu's old phone. No lights, no filters. "No publicist," Donna began. First, voice soft but steady. "Hi, this isn't about headlines. This isn't about gossip. This is about kids who want to laugh, to paint, to dream, about two adults who just wanted to help." Keanu continued, his tone calm. "We didn't go to that school for cameras. We went because every child deserves to feel like they matter. No one paid us. No one asked us. We just showed up because it felt right," Anna added. "But now, lies are being used to take that joy away from them, and we won't let that happen." They didn't attack anyone. They didn't name names. They only told the truth and trusted it would be enough. They uploaded the video quietly. No announcement, no hashtag, just one caption, "For the ones who deserve more than silence." Within hours, the video began to spread, not through tabloids, but through people. Real people, teachers, parents, students, fans, strangers. Comments flooded in. "This is the kind of love the world needs. They showed up when no one else did. Don't shut the doors on kindness." Response. One member, an elderly woman who had taught at the school decades ago, stood up in the next meeting and said, "We locked out the wrong people." Within 2 days, the decision was reversed. The school reopened its doors to Keanu, Anna, and the other volunteers who had come for the right reasons. On Saturday, children ran to greet them, hugging them tightly like no time had passed. Anna bent down to tie one girl's shoelaces. Keanu carried 3 kids on his shoulders at once. Laughter returned, but something else happened too quietly in the background. A teacher named Oliver, who had doubted them before, walked over with an envelope. "I want to show you something," he said. Inside were hand-drawn letters from the students, over 100 of them. Each one thanking Keanu and Anna in their own words. "You listened to me when I was scared. You helped me not feel invisible. I want to be kind like you when I grow up." Anna read them with tears sliding down her cheeks. Keanu whispered, "They see us." Later that week, a famous host from a well-known talk show invited them to speak. Anna hesitated. "Isn't that what we were trying to avoid?" Keanu looked at her. "Sometimes the stage isn't for fame. It's for truth." They agreed. On the day of the interview, the host asked them about the gala, the rumors, the accusations. Anna paused before answering. "I was never chasing a spotlight. I was just chasing purpose. I was standing outside that night, not for myself, but for a cause I believed in," Keanu added. "And I saw someone who cared more about the kids inside than the lights outside." The audience fell silent. No applause, just stillness. The host asked one last question. "How do you stay kind when the world's so cruel?" Anna looked at the crowd and said, "By remembering that kindness isn't weakness, it's a choice. And every time we choose it, we change something, even if it's just one heart." The interview went viral, not because it was dramatic, but because it was honest. But not everyone was happy. The person who started the false stories, the same one who took the secret photos, felt cornered. Their influence was shrinking. Their lies were cracking. So they did something dangerous. They sent another message to the foundation this time, pretending to be from a government agency, claiming legal violations, hinting at investigations, and trying to scare the school into closing again. But this time, the foundation didn't panic. They called a press conference instead. The president of the board stood before cameras, flanked by Keanu and Anna, and said clearly, "We will not be bullied. We have investigated every claim, and we stand by our volunteers. We do not punish people for being kind." It was the first time Anna stood behind a microphone without fear in her eyes, and Keanu stood beside her like a silent shield. When the conference ended, a small boy named Elias ran up, holding a crumpled paper star. "For you," he said, handing it to Anna. She opened it slowly inside. He had written in shaky letters, "You're my hero." Anna bent down, hugged him tightly, and whispered, "You're mine." What began as a moment of rejection at a gala had grown into something unstoppable. But just when it seemed the light had won, another shadow appeared, an anonymous file. A threat. A secret from Anna's past that someone was ready to expose. And this time, it wasn't about lies. It was something real. When Silence Speaks Louder file arrived on a Thursday, Anna's email showed a new message with no subject line. Inside was a single attachment titled "Remember Who You Were," PDF, no sender name. No words, just the file. Her hands hesitated over the mouse. Then she clicked. It opened to an old photo, blurry, grainy, clearly taken with a low-quality phone. Anna was sitting on a pavement, her arms wrapped around her knees, face hidden. The background was a grocery store, the kind that stayed open late for struggling families. She remembered the moment. The weight of it returned like cold wind through a broken window. Years ago, before the acting, before the hope, she had been turned away from a casting room. She had no money for a ride home. She had walked for hours, then sat outside that store and cried for what felt like forever. No one helped. No one noticed. Except someone had noticed. Someone had taken a picture below. The image, the file, had a single sentence typed in bold. "Does Hollywood know how far you fell?" Anna felt the blood drain from her face, but it wasn't shame that struck her, it was fear. Not for herself, but for everything they had worked to build, the school, the kids, the kindness. Someone wanted to ruin it. Not with lies this time, but with old wounds. She sat frozen until her phone buzzed. A message from Keanu? "You okay?" She didn't reply. A few minutes later, another message. "I'm outside." Anna opened the door slowly. Keanu stood there, holding 2 cups of tea, again 1 sugar, no milk. Just the way she liked it. She didn't say anything, just stepped aside. He sat on the couch, handed her the tea, and waited. After a long pause, she finally spoke. "Someone sent me a picture. From before, a moment I never wanted the world to see." He didn't flinch, didn't ask for details. Instead, he said, "Who you were is part of who you are. And who you are is someone I admire." Her voice cracked. "I'll spin. They'll say I was always chasing fame." "Let them spin. We don't chase stories. We tell the truth." Anna looked at him. "Then maybe it's time I speak." "You sure?" he asked softly. She nodded. That evening, she recorded a message, not for fame, not to fight, but to reclaim her story. In the video, she sat in her living room, no makeup, no fancy clothes. "I want to share something," she began, voice gentle. "Years ago, before you knew my name, I was a girl who slept in borrowed apartments, who skipped meals to pay rent, who was told over and over that I wasn't enough." She paused, breathing deep. "And one night I sat on a pavement outside a grocery store, crying because I had failed again. Someone took a photo of that moment. Today, they sent it to me as a threat, but it's not a threat. It's my story. No, and I'm not ashamed of it." She held up the photo. "This is who I was. And she is the reason I show up for every child who thinks they'll never be seen." When the video ended, Anna closed her eyes and whispered, "Please let them understand." They did. Within hours, thousands of people shared her message. Survivors, dreamers, single mothers, struggling artists, all saying the same thing: "Thank you for being brave." One comment read, "I cried in that same spot once. Thank you for reminding me that broken isn't the end." Another said, "You turned pain into purpose. That's power." But the person behind the threat didn't stop. 2 days later, a story leaked claiming that Anna had faked parts of her charity involvement to gain favor with Keanu. It included a list of twisted facts, out-of-context photos, and one forged document that tried to show Anna as the one who arranged her own appearance at the gala. Keanu saw the article first. He didn't send a text this time. He showed up at Anna's door with a folder in his hand, legal documents, witness letters, donation receipts. Every single one proved the truth. "We're taking this to the board," he said, and to a lawyer. Anna looked at him. "Are you sure?" His voice didn't shake. "They came for your name. Now they answer to mine." The next day, Keanu and Anna stood before a full press room. This time, there was no fear in her voice. "You tried to use my pain as a weapon," she said, looking straight into the cameras. "But kindness isn't weakness, and silence isn't surrender. It's space we give to others to be heard." Keanu stepped forward. "We stand together not for headlines, but for truth. For the children who need us, and for every person who's ever been told their past makes them less." They didn't raise their voices, they didn't shout, but the world heard them anyway. And behind that noise, somewhere in a quiet office, the person who had started it all was finally being investigated. Anna received a letter the next morning from the Foundation's chair. "We are proud to have you with us, not despite your past, because of it." But just as things seemed to settle, a storm came without warning. Sudden accident, a call in the middle of the night. Keanu Reeves had been taken to the hospital. The name written in Kinder's phone rang at 2:43 a.m. Anna's hand shook as she reached for it. The screen showed a number she didn't recognize. She hesitated, then answered. A calm but urgent voice spoke. "Are you Ms. Armas?" She whispered, "Mr. Reeves has been in an accident. He's stable now, but we thought you should know. Your number was the last dialed on his phone." Her breath caught. "I'm coming," she said, already grabbing her coat. The hospital was cold and quiet when she arrived. The kind of silence that felt heavy, like the world was holding its breath. A nurse led her down a narrow hallway to a room at the end. Machines beeped softly inside. Keanu lay in the bed, eyes closed, a bandage across his forehead. His arm was in a sling. Bruises covered his ribs. Anna stood frozen in the doorway. He looked so still. But then, slowly, his eyes opened in the moment. They saw her. He smiled. "Hey," he whispered, voice raspy. She rushed to his side. "What happened?" "Lost control on a slick road. Nothing broken. Just bruised and tired." Anna held his hand tightly, tears filling her eyes. "You scared me. Wasn't part of the plan," he said with a soft laugh. They sat in silence for a long time, then he spoke again. "You know what I thought about? Right before it happened?" "What?" she asked gently. "Your name?" "The way I wrote it that night. By hand. It was the first time in a long time I felt like doing something real, something that mattered." Anna looked at him, heartful. "It did matter. So did everything after," he said. "You showed me that kindness isn't just a gesture. It's a way of living." Outside, morning light began to spill through the windows. Over the next few days, Anna never left his side. She helped him walk the hallways, brought him homemade soup, read to him from his favorite books. The press tried to get pictures, but she always shielded him. But something unexpected happened. While Keanu healed, the foundation began receiving thousands of letters from all over the world from teachers, students, families, people who said that the story of Anna and Keanu had changed. How they saw kindness. One letter stood out. It was from a little girl in a small village in Peru. She wrote, "My school didn't have paper, so I wrote this on a leaf. We don't have actors here, but we have a bench under a tree, and sometimes I sit there and pretend I'm brave like you." Anna read the letter to Keanu, voice breaking. "See?" he said, smiling. "Truth travels further than lies." When he was discharged, the foundation organized a small event not for the cameras, but for the children. They named a new reading corner at the school after him. Keanu's corner is Kindness Corner. Anna stood by his side as the children clapped. But then, something happened that neither of them expected. The school principal took the mic and said, "We have one more announcement." She looked at Anna and smiled. "This year's biggest scholarship, sponsored anonymously, is now officially renamed. She turned the sign around. The Ana de Armas Resilience Award. Anna gasped, looked at Keanu, said nothing, just winked. Tears filled her eyes. I don't know what to say. Small girl walked up, holding a medal. She keeps showing up, she said. Anna knelt and hugged her. The ceremony ended with a simple song the children had written. It was clumsy, off-key, and perfect. As the sun began to set, Anna and Keanu sat beneath a tree outside the school where the kids often played, and where they had first made a promise to stay kind, no matter what. Do you ever wish none of this had happened? She asked quietly. Keanu thought for a moment. No, he said, because this isn't about a gala anymore. It's about what we did with the moments after. Anna leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you for writing my name that night. Smiled. You would have gotten in anyway? I just helped the world see what was already true. She laughed softly. Maybe, but that one gesture, it changed everything. The sun dipped lower. They sat in silence again, not because there was nothing to say, but because everything had already been said. Two people, one name, written by hand in a world reminded that even in noise, kindness can be louder.